This lesson I want to talk about selection and stacked shading. And it may sound scary, but it's really simple to understand. So let me just demonstrate that on this simple cube. Create a new material, and here in the color channel I will load one image that I downloaded from internet, and it is a create texture, and I will apply it to my cube. And you can already get nice results if you have the newest generation OpenGL card, or if you render, you will see the result that you get. So what to do if you have really a perfect material and you really don't want to mess it up and don't want to complicate with layer shaders and stuff like that. You just want to put, for example, a sticker here or some other feature. You want to shade a part of your material to be something completely else. We'll have several ways in Cinema 4D, and the first and the most logical way is to create a selection tag on your object. So let's do just that. Let's create a selection for our sticker. So for example, maybe these two faces. And you don't have to set the selection. That may be an unnecessary step. We create a new material, and we will load our sticker texture here. So let's load that image. Once again, you don't have to necessarily create selection tag. If you drag and drop that material on the selection that is currently active, it will create that selection for you. Okay? And you can see now, if I click off, that we have some sort of results, but they are not precise. That is not what we want. So even if you go on this texture and do a fit to object command, nothing will happen because it cannot calculate that on that selection on. That's why if you right click here, you will see a fit to region command. And this is where most of the users get confused. They click and nothing happens. They get this crosshair, and if they do something with it, for example, let me just mark this area and you will see something happening. Okay, so now if you want to project that really nicely, go to some flat view, orthogonal view, which is the correct name. It's not really flat, but if I just zoom out a bit and right click here again, go to fit to region, then I can simply almost roughly draw out a rectangle and watch what happens. That texture will be exactly projected on this space. And when you click off, you will be able to see that everything is in order now. This is one way you can create a selection tag and apply a material to that selection only. Let me just delete this tag and this material also. The second way would be to, let's say, split this. This is a command to create a new geometry, and let's just do that. Let's go functions, split, and we will get a duplicate of our selected faces. You can see that. Just want to center the axis. I really like things to be neat. And you can see here I have a shortcut assigned, center axis to. This is Control Alt plus H, and if I press that, it will put the axis exactly like here. Okay, so if these were the values and I press the Control Alt and H again, it will snap exactly to the center. You can see I have a completely new piece of geometry, and then I would apply a texture and simply run a fit to object command, but in other mapping, then rather than UV mapping, let's try cubic. And just to make sure we will fit to object. There is another way, but we just slightly offset it. But what if you want this texture to be here on the corner? Then you run into problems. You could use some modifiers in Cinema 4D, but really the best way to do this, if you want that kind of result, is simply to load that same texture on that cube. You see it completely eats up this other texture. The first thing you want to do is to disable this tile option. So you don't want tiling to appear, you just want one of these stickers. And you will have to change this projection to flat. Okay, something along these lines. And this is a texture tool. You can scale that texture regardless of the object. So let's scale it completely and see what we get. And now we roughly have what we want. Of course, we can rotate it also, so let's rotate it where we need it. And while I was rotating, you probably noticed something really interesting. Look at this. Look at how it really nicely wraps around the object. This works on any object. Okay, so let me undo that. Here, what is also important, if you don't want it to be projected on this back side, then just select here front side only. And you will get your texture here. One word of caution though, ordering of these materials is important. So the most bottom part should be the first here. And the topmost part, the most visible part, for example, this sticker now should be far to the right. So just like layers, this is the bottom one, and as you progress to the right, you can put the top one. You can stack gazillion textures if you want. And really the usage of these three techniques. There is also a technique with alpha channel in materials, but we covered the alpha channel. So when to use which one? Well, if you want really realistic results, then I suggest you go with a completely another object for your material. But if you don't need such precise results, I suggest you go with this stacking option. And the option when you can select a part of your object to be shaded is maybe recommendable when you are doing something rather different than this box. For example, imagine you made a completely flat metal panel, and then, or even we could use this example also for it. So imagine that you have nails here that are the same geometry as this one. Okay, so it's a single object. Then it would be a good idea to use selection shading, just to add the material to those bolts we unfortunately don't have now, but you will get the idea. So I think that's it for the selection and stacking. So let's proceed to our next lesson.